Hey y'all. Okay, so we are going to do a video, Imperial we, are going to do a video on this Leo full moon. That was, I think technically yesterday, but we're in the energy of it right now. And so in full moons, we're going to, typically the way I practice is I see them as release intentions, like what do I need to release out of my life? And Leo is like how we kind of show up in the world. And so I'm going to say that it's just like a setup, like astrologically, or at least with the energy. It's like how you show up in the world, and are there things that you should release about how you're showing up, and if they're not authentically you. And so today in the Oracle reading, I'm going to use, I just love these things, the Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. And I'm going to do the Energy Oracle deck by Sandra Ann Taylor. It's another little fun one. And so yeah, let's get into it. So I have cleared and grounded myself. I'm setting the intention with you guys that this is for this Leo full moon. Here we are in February 2022. But I think if anyone reads this later, it's kind of like, you know, time is kind of funny. I always kind of like, well, if you listen to it in 2024, it was meant for you. So for whoever the collective that's listening, what is a message that's for the highest and best of all involved, to help, to heal, to love, and to serve? And asking for a connection with divine truth, divine source, God, for these messages. Okay? So I'm going to kind of feel like checking them. Let me see what happens. Sorry, 2 came out so far. Here, I'll show you guys real quick. The first one is Treasure Island. Next one is Time for a Nap. And the last one, ooh, okay. They're letting us end on Fork in the Road. Okay. Ooh, at the bottom of the deck, just always take a peek at it. It's called Come to the Edge. And before I start, so the Come to the Edge is very much like a, it's a card that represents this kind of deep knowing that you might have of like changing something in your life. If that's your career trajectory, if that's how you view family, if that's how, like just a totally new direction in your life in terms of where you want to like work and live, and just sometimes you just get an energy of like, I want to change shit up. I don't know what I want to do, but I just feel like I want to be a change agent. So this Come to the Edge to me is kind of that energy. So I don't know if you're feeling that recently. If we're having astrologically Saturn squaring Uranus, we're going to just feel this vibe. And it's kind of like where intuitively as you listen to this, like, where is this, you know, where's this vibe hitting you in your life? And think about that as we're kind of talking about the message here. So the first one is Treasure Island. And if you guys can see it, so it's on a turtle. Cute little treasures on a turtle in the ocean. And it's got just like a treasure box and just like hearts and starfish kind of coming out, or stars. And what I get from Treasure Island is, without going to the guidebook, it typically is just like, think about, this is part of manifestation. If you kind of just think about what you want in life, have you actually had some moments to be able to think about what you want to call in? I don't think I really did that till I was 30, really. I mean, I think I had goals, but I don't think I ever was like, you know, what do I enjoy in life? How can I bring that more in my life? Which sounds sad that I waited that long to kind of tune in, but that's just how it is. So yeah, Treasure Island is just kind of like, where are you feeling some dreams coming up? And literally, these might be dreams. Like the dreams might be kind of signaling to you changes. If there's people that are popping in your dreams to kind of look at that area of life. Is it your boss? Is it like a loved one? Things like that. And what kind of feelings are kind of popping up for you in those dreams? I don't know why. I just feel like dream work recently is just kind of big for people. The next one is Time for a Nap. And this is kind of that, I'm getting a little intuitive message that this is a kind of restful place of kind of letting go. Once you do some manifestation work, you know, the imagining, the feeling, and kind of doing that on a daily and getting your vibe high to kind of push out this like energetic signal to the universe, like, I want this energy and this to happen in my life. Then we have to release and let go and chill. And that is so hard. It's so hard when you get a little attached to your treasure island items, and your dreams can be so vivid, and you can feel like they're so destined, and the 5D energy is so strong that you're like, surely, surely this is going to happen, and it's going to happen quickly. And you can be wrong, and the timing could be off. It might be just the firecracker of energy to get you open to it in general, like the energy of it, new love, new career, new inspiration, new creative, you know, beginnings kind of thing coming in, to like the new pop of inspiration to move physically to a new location. Like all that could kind of like pop in to kind of maybe make your whole other things in your life like be under adjustment. And this time for a nap is literally the process of, if your root belief is, I believe that what is destined for me is going to come to me, and it's my highest and best, and I believe that source wants to give that to me, then it's going to come. And you just can't think of it in the premise of TikTok. You know, you can't think about a clock at all. You can't even call it waiting. I can't. I get triggered by that W word, the dreaded W word, because it feels like wasted time. I've had a dogma of having to really not look at time the same. But I want to say that this is not an easy space to be in. That fox, you see the fox on the moon? I get that that fox has a lot of energy and is ready to roll. And for him to be like finally like taking a nap with the moon probably took some wrestling inside to kind of settle down. And sometimes that's kind of what it takes. It takes a little bit of wrestling inside with your energy to where you're finally like, okay, I give up. And I'm letting just like whatever is that you wanted source to happen, like I'm releasing and surrendering to that. So it's like this kind of surrender of, okay, these are my dreams, and how they come to me, and in what way, and in what time, all that. I just got to let it go. And it's almost like you kind of then put your dreams in this little, if you need a visual, you know, put it in what I'm seeing is a house. So if the house is my mind, and I've got like a lovely little sunroom in the back part of mine, you know, almost like it's the back porch area. I'm from the South, so I'm thinking of sunrooms. So I'm thinking about that little sunroom in the back. It's beautiful. It's got, you know, beautiful light. It's a beautiful space. It's not an old closet. It's not a dark and dusty room. It's this beautiful light-filled room that I'm placing these hopes into. And I just let them stay there and get nurtured by the light. And they're going to come into my living space when it's right. So I kind of just think that. So when I have those moments of like waking the fox up and being like, well, let's get on this. Why hasn't this happened? I can kind of relax into flow of the universe and have inner peace like on a daily basis as much as I can. I kind of, you know, it takes time. And there's a lot of hard waiting in the beginning before you kind of learn this practice and this energy release. And this is a hard muscle to exercise, but you can do it. And I in particular have had experience with this kind of lesson, and it took over a year. And I don't want anybody to kind of like feel you know, your heart fall hearing that, but I'm being honest with you. I knew this lesson like intellectually, but for it to sink into like my emotional self, my spiritual self, well, my spiritual self knew, but like my emotional self and my mental self, the human parts of me that were just like ego, I wanted to know, I wanted to predict when, all this sort of stuff I kind of got into, and like constantly, you know, divination over like, when's this going to come? I'm like, you just can't be there. You can't be in that space for that to come. But It will. And then oftentimes our manifestations might come in forms where you have to make a choice. And it's this fork in the road. Yeah. And you just got different directions. And what I'm getting from this, actually, is that none of us really know, like, our highest and best, I can think, like, I want to move to Hawaii, but, like, what if Guatemala is, like my soul's, you know, the seat of my house? Like that would be, like, my soul would love to be there. You know, I don't know. I have dreams of Hawaii. Just dropped my card. But I have dreams of Hawaii, but I have to be chill, even though I put out that energy. Like, God, I really like warm, tropical, ohana kind of type places. Just a chill vibe. But I have to be open to the fact that God might ultimately show me a different place, a different door. And I think this fork in the road, which is the card I just managed to get back up again off the floor, is kind of signaling to me, and you'll see the different little signposts with the different directions, that we have to flex, that we have to kind of release also this expectation of a certain result. Like, what if this person you're fixated on romantically isn't the right person for you? You're going to have to be able to deal with that loss and flex. Like, our divine partner, we have to really, like, loosely hold that with energy. Like, you cannot fixate on it being a particular person. You have to relax. Even if you feel a certain, like, destined connection, like 5D energy can be there, and it, you know, it sucks, but sometimes the 3D person just doesn't engage in it, and that's their loss, that's their lesson. But your lesson too is that there's other options, and that someone will answer the cosmic call. And the cosmic call can be answered on all sorts of things, like for jobs, for creative projects, for bringing in your soul family friends, like just relax. Try not to have a certain expectation. And fork in the road is just kind of like a also little sign, meaning that when it does come, sometimes there is like a really hard choice. You know, you ask for something and it's not what you were expecting, and you're like, oh gosh, now this thing I put all this hope in this whole time, and then this other thing that's beautiful showed up. Like, oh, but I spent all this energy and commitment to this, and like, do I choose this because I got fixated for so long, or do I choose this beautiful cosmic option that just showed up that's right? So that's the whole point of, like, keeping kind of loose, because you don't want to have like that fixed, and Leo's a fixed sign too of energy of like, so you kind of don't want to have that fixed part, like your fingernails wrapping around a certain result. You want it to kind of release, so that you're able to bring in the highest and best. And the highest, whatever you are is what you attract. So the higher and the, like, chiller you are about it, and the more positive you are about it, the better option that's coming. Like, we just elevate on this little option choice as we just engage in divine timing. I'm trying not to say the waiting word. so hard. Engage in divine timing. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, so I'm getting that for you guys. I feel ya. And like I said, like that, you know, the time where we're engaging, we have to just look at it a different way. Don't think of it as killed time. Think of it as perspective. Think of it as just fine-tuning about your wishes and dreams. Yeah, you have to spin it a different way, so that, and don't see it as spinning, but like, just maybe this is truth. You have to find a different way of like how you're viewing it, so that you can get the lessons in that time period. There's some sort of divine lesson that's trying to get through when we are in this engagement of divine timing. Very much. And a lot of times it's our illusions on people, on things, you know, rose-colored glasses, like the things that we are kind of like attached on, and like God will just show you like, oh no, that person's got some issues, or oh no, this job's got some issues. Did you hear about that company you were fixated on? Yeah, it's going under. It's that kind of stuff where it's like, just release. So I'm going to go for the energy cards now to kind of validate. I'm only feeling like I should pick 2. So I'm going to just let 2 fly out and we'll see what happens. And same intention. So I'm just kind of saying it inside my head. Okay, cool. So I got 2 cards that flew out there. It is the Thinking Man and Financial Constraints. And so these 2, to me, is like our logic side. And financial constraints is kind of like the logic part that, you know, the logic part of me is like, I'm going to run out of milk tomorrow. And that, you know, only got so much milk in my fridge. And if you stay in that logic, you're not open to the fact that, well, you can always go to the grocery store. I know this sounds like a stupid thing, but let's just pretend like that perspective is like a very logical based view of like your life. Like, I can only make my life as an accountant or as a physical therapist. So the only milk I have in my fridge, I'm going to run out of milk when I have it. And then like the whole idea that, oh, there's a store that's open that has, you know, my milk and I can just go down the road and get it. We have to have like that openness. And I know this is kind of probably maybe a shitty example, but I'm going with it. So the whole point is like, what if we realized that if we had given a shot to selling, say, you know, doing crafts and doing I can't even think of it now, like a boutique thing, you know, do at various fairs that are coming through now that we're going back to hopefully to maybe having some fairs and some, you know, farmers markets outside and all that sort of thing, that you could have like a booth and sell your stuff. And like, just that whole like thinking, just to go from there being like, I gotta be like an accountant or I have to be a physical therapist too. Okay, now maybe I can do 5 of those farmers markets this summer if I apply really quickly and see what those hoops are about. Like, you can shift like the availability of your resources and your like just your experience here on the earth so quickly if we just are like open to it. And yeah, it might be a little work. You got to get in the car, go down the street, go to the other store, get the milk, and then come home. You got milk, and then it's the same thing. Like, you know, yeah, I got to go through the hoops, check out the, you know, requirements to open my booth at a metaphysical fair or at a farmer's market, you know, whatever it is, or open up a Etsy shop, like, or Amazon shop, whatever that is. If you look through the hoops, you go through them, but now you have another way of making money, you know, bringing in resources for your family. So, and I'm feeling it financially because of the whole financial resources, but this is a dogma. This is a dogma of like, I can't do things. I have a resistance to like starting a new business. And if so, why? A lot of that is fear-based on money not coming in, not being sure of like a salary by a certain, you know, time structure. And I understand that's real. Those are real concerns, but at what point can you kind of mitigate that fear and make small moves that aren't quite so dramatic as quitting my job and then, you know, not so dramatic, but like, let me just manage 5 farmers markets this year. Let me start the application, maybe even just 1. Let me just do 1 or 2. I'll have 1 learning curve experience. And then next season, I'll be able to do a bigger presence. Like looking into those things. You can just put your toe in the water if you kind of chill out a little bit on this dogma and be able to make some moves. And part of the thinking man is kind of like, well, how can I do this? How can I get around this fear? So like I said, like thinking of alternative ways of approaching whatever it is that's holding you back. If it's the fear of the money, if it's just you don't know how to do it, like just start looking online, take 5-10 minutes out on Sunday morning when it's quiet, start looking into these things, like just trying to give you some real life, like, you know, movements and start, like move the energy on this. I think you'd be happily surprised at what happens. And I don't know why, but I feel like taking one more freaking card from the wisdom of the Oracle because I want to see okay, well, everything kind of fell down like a whole bunch, so I'm only going to take 1. Oh, sorry. Today is just the day that things are going to fall on the ground. I can't even grab this card. Like, this is such a mess to deal with, and my hair is like as big as a Leo right here, man. Anybody have Leo hair right now just from the moon? No, it's like that all the time, but anyway. Okay, let me just pick one. That way, because apparently me cutting my cards, they're flying everywhere. Okay, I'll do it in front of you guys. What is it? Higher power. Well, isn't that just a nice thing to kind of end on? It's like, yeah, man, there's divine movements here. You either subscribe to it or you don't. And if you subscribe to it, there's a little point where I kind of like repeat that in my mind when I have like my mental mind kind of freak out and, but this isn't happening, and oh my God, you know, what if this, just those moments when you're kind of, you just have to have an awareness you're trying to catch when you're in your mental mind going racing. And yeah, I do just literally repeat like, what is divinely mine is going to be destined for me, I will have, and I really can't fuck that up. I don't think I can. So yeah, the higher power is like, there's this existence. And if you believe in it, if you subscribe to it, then it does change your daily thinking, or it should. And I know it takes some time and it's hard, especially when we're in this, like, we're in the real 3D world of like having to do things and having to use our brains and our logic a lot. To use our intuition is kind of a funny muscle. It feels like imagination. It feels like a little airy. And if you're like me, you're like very grounded, like, and if people who are not into metaphysical very much, because I would say like, I'm a Capricorn sun, so I'm very earthy. So I would say this instead, maybe you can kind of understand it. It's like, I had an engineer father and a stay-at-home mother, very traditional parents, very, we prayed and stuff, but it was like, we were very like, engineering at home, science-based. And so for me to say I'm grounded, it's like my mind doesn't ever have, or rarely does have moments where it's just kind of floating and thinking and daydreaming. Not very often. I'm kind of more like planning. That's like my restful thinking spot. For people who are kind of more air-based in their energy, they're going to have like daydreams, and they're going to be kind of gone, and just suddenly they're going to be thinking of things, and it won't be planning, but it's like imagining and like feeling emotions. That's the water-based people. They can just get into like memories and feel and like think about these people in their lives, and they're like lost and kind of like feeling about them. And so that's not me. I'm like, if taxes are due here, and I think I've got most of my documents, I'm like, like that. And then in college, I was a finance major, and then I went to law school. So very earthy, very practical. So my point is like, this whole thinking man, financial constraints, going back to those oracle cards, like that is, sometimes that can be our little, really tough for us to relax and get into intuition and kind of this flow state and acknowledging higher power. Like we fight that a little bit by our groundedness, and you have to just kind of intellectually, you either agree that there's a higher source or you don't. Now, and if you do, I would just say commit to it and just try to like work with this whole energy. And being wish-washy is going to give you wish-washy results. I just had to make a commitment. And I had a lot of things in my own life that just kind of like added to that belief system. And then plus when I did do some mediumship training, that blew it out of the water. I couldn't get over that. And because you practice with other people, and it was, and I got to experience that. And give mediumship readings. So it just really brought it home as to, this veil, this other world that's right there is right there. So I don't question it. And anyway, I hope that this talk helps you. Just know that, that the mental practice of spiritual, like I say, inner peace is just, it is hard, and it's a daily thing, and it's okay. And it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have waves of difficulty, and it might take a little time, but I promise you there are waves in that whole like year plus. I said that it took me a while to kind of get into this, like I had to release the energy, you know, and fix my energy. Like I would have waves of, okay, I understand this part of that release. Okay, I understand the next. It was like layers of like, until finally it was just like, oh, I let it go. And it was very healing. So it can be done. And then once you let it go, man, it's like, I think you open the gates for their highest and best, and it's like horses are ready. And yeah, so I hope these messages help you. I hope it's a wonderful couple weeks before our next moon oracle reading. And yeah, hope it, you know, just the universe sees you trying. I'm trying, you're trying, we're all trying. All right, y'all take care. Thanks for listening.